Given that I've got an hour to kill, I thought I'd go for a walk and consider something to tell you about. And today I thought I'd tell you something about expectation. As you're probably familiar with the old saying, keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed. And on the surface it sounds like a terribly depressing and fatalist attitude, and in a way it is. I mean, expectation of oneself is hugely important, and it gives us the ability to set goals and trajectory. It gives us incentive to try harder and do things that we never might have done if we just settled for mediocrity. But then expectation also sets us up for big falls. It places us in a position where, by not resolving those expectations and not achieving those goals, we emotionally and psychologically reduce ourselves to something of a failure, when that's not exactly what's happening. I mean, on a daily basis, my neurotic personality considers myself a failure continuously, regardless of the things that I've accomplished. And my gauge, or my indication of failure, is how I improve day to day, or not. To give you some background, I've always been one to go through phases. You ask my mother and I'll jump from one fad to another, from one interest to another with great vigor, with the full 100% intentions of turning these desires, these fads, these temporary phases into full-blown careers, life paths, directions. And I'm committed. I'm 100% committed to the idea. When I'm doing it today, for instance, was electronic skateboards. And while the $2,000 skateboard would be great, it's financially untenable at the moment. I mean, I am 100% committed to the interest and totally keen and invested in the idea of doing whatever it is I'm researching at the time. And quite begrudgingly at the moment, my greatest limitation is financial in nature. And these financial restrictions are what are keeping me from jumping onto one fad from another. So I think that this is what has brought me to reflecting on and considering my expectations of what I can achieve in the short term. I think, given my history of traveling and jumping to new places and moving to new locations, I think this has made me to be somebody with short-term goals, overly short-term goals in mind, while not necessarily respecting the strength of long-term goals. I finished a degree in Asian Studies and Thai language, and that was the one and only long-term goal that I've really successfully completed. And now my next one is living here and being in Port Macquarie and looking to build a home But my short-term goals and elevated expectations of what I can accomplish in the short term have led me to all sorts of anxiety and stress. And I think this is, if I could come back full circle, what I was trying to get to is that keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed. Sure, it's pessimistic, but in a finite world of finite resources, expectations aren't always fulfilled. So at the end of all that, is there any take-home message? Any great little words of inspiration or aspiration that make this video educational or provide some insight into how we as people address our aspirations and expectations in ourselves? Or am I simply complaining? Well, no. I won't deny that I used to complain. Well, I still do complain a lot. But this video is not of me complaining. If anything, this is a bit of cathartic analysis over how it is I'm trying to address my maybe false expectations, and more than that, maybe trying to understand what expectations are realistic, what I can strive for, and what is unrealistic and untenable. I mean, I think that in the long term, goals and aspirations, high expectations are all somewhat achievable. But in the short term, we definitely have to be realistic about what we want to accomplish. And me personally, when I'm not true or sincere to the reasonable expectations within my ability or within my capability at the moment, well, this causes me anxiety. This causes me neurotic thinking that leads to procrastination, leads to issues in motivation. I mean, my most highly motivated times are when the expectations that I have and the things that are within my ability are being accomplished in real time. So with infinite resources and infinite expectations, I'm sure I'd be fine, but that's not the way the world works. So I think I'll end the video here with something that will be the title after my current thought process, and that is that current expectations in the short term can only ever be compatible with realistic capabilities. And to think otherwise is to unnecessarily burden the mind with anxiety and yearning. I mean, one of the tenets of Buddhism is that we should remove all desire. And to remove desire doesn't necessarily mean that one doesn't have expectations, but it does mean that one's expectations need to be within one's own capability and not, say for instance, desired of somebody else's experience, somebody else's capability. You can only do what you can do.